If you're over 60, there's one movement that might seem simple and even healthy, but it could be quietly raising your risk of having a stroke while you sleep. No pain, no warning, and in many cases, no second chance. You go to bed feeling fine and could wake up unable to speak, move an arm, or even recognize your own family. I'm a brain specialist, and I've spent more than 30 years treating stroke patients. But the cases that have marked me the most didn't come from obvious bad habits like smoking or poor diet. They came from something far more unexpected: exercises everyone believes are safe. Stretches, movements, and senior-friendly workouts that, when done at the wrong time or in the wrong way, can overload your blood vessels, spike your blood pressure, and create clots that travel to your brain in the dead of night. Today, here on the Longevity Channel, I'm going to show you 9 common exercises that could be putting your brain at risk, even if you feel healthy and think you're doing everything right. Because after 60, what used to be healthy can now be dangerous. And pay close attention. Exercise number 5 is the most deceptive of all, because it doesn't hurt, doesn't seem risky, and takes less than a minute, but if misunderstood, it can change your life forever. Toe touches and forward bends, the hidden danger. It looks harmless, even healthy. You bend forward to stretch your back or legs, touch your toes before bed, or bend down to pick something up from the floor. Maybe you've been doing it for decades without a second thought. But after 60, this simple movement can hide a silent risk to your brain, and yes, even to your life. As a brain doctor, I've seen this pattern many times. When you bend too quickly, blood rushes down to your legs. In a younger body, your system quickly reacts to send blood back to your brain. But with age, the natural sensors that regulate this flow, called baroreceptors, lose efficiency. The result? Blood takes longer to return to your head. On the outside, it may seem like just a brief dimming of vision or a quick wave of dizziness. Inside, that delay creates the perfect conditions for your blood to thicken, your circulation to slow, and tiny clots to form. And if one of those clots travels to a narrow artery deep inside your brain, the outcome can be devastating. Loss of speech, blurred vision, loss of balance, or even permanent paralysis. Real story. Edward, 74, a retired history teacher, always started his day by bending down to touch his toes, something he'd done since he was young. One morning, he felt a slight dizziness, ignored it, and went on with his day. Hours later, while gardening, he suddenly collapsed. The diagnosis, an ischemic stroke, caused by a clot that had formed after a drop in blood pressure from those early morning stretches. How to protect yourself. Rise slowly after bending forward. Take a deep breath before returning to an upright position. When putting on socks or shoes, sit down instead of bending from standing. If you feel dizzy, stop immediately. Here on Longevity, we always remind you, movement is essential, but it must be adapted to the reality of your body today, not to what you could do at 30 or 40. And if you think bending forward is risky, wait until you see the next exercise. It's marketed as relaxing and rejuvenating, but for many people over 60, it can cause a dangerous spike in brain pressure that can change life forever. Inverted yoga poses, the hidden brain pressure danger. Yoga is often seen as a symbol of healthy aging, stretching, breathing, calming the mind. And yes, in many cases, it can be extremely beneficial. But there's one group of poses, called inverted poses, that can be dangerous for those over 60, especially if you have a history of high blood pressure, aneurysms, circulation problems, or take certain blood pressure medications. I'm talking about movements like legs up the wall, downward dog, or deep forward bends with the head below the heart. These positions, often marketed as relaxing or rejuvenating, can cause a rapid and intense increase of blood flow to the brain. In aging blood vessels, which may be stiffer, inflamed, or weakened, that sudden pressure can cause swelling, rupture, or spasms. What happens inside your body? As we age, our brain's self-regulation system, like a safety valve that balances pressure, becomes less efficient. This means that when blood pools in your head for even a few minutes, pressure rises, oxygen levels fluctuate, and the risk of clot formation increases. Real story. Mrs. Evelyn, 74 years old, a retired art teacher, attended a senior yoga group twice a week. During the legs up the wall pose, she felt a sharp pain behind her eyes, but ignored it. That night, her daughter found her collapsed beside the bed, confused and unable to speak. At the hospital, the diagnosis was a hemorrhagic stroke in the back of the brain, triggered by a sudden spike in cranial pressure during the pose. The saddest part? This could have been prevented. No one had explained that for seniors with certain conditions, these poses aren't safe.
How to protect yourself. Avoid poses that place your head below your heart for more than a few seconds. Choose adapted versions, seated or lying down, that don't reverse blood flow. If you feel pressure behind your eyes, dizziness, or fatigue after class, stop immediately and seek medical advice. Look for yoga instructors with training in senior care. Here at Longevity, we always remind you not everything labeled gentle or relaxing is automatically safe. Your body changes, and the way you care for it should change too. And if this pose can put so much pressure on the brain, wait until you see the next activity on our list. It's as simple as carrying grocery bags, but it can spike your blood pressure in seconds and cause a blood vessel to rupture without any warning. Lifting weights, even grocery bags, and the hidden risk to your brain. Staying strong in your senior years is something we all want. Carrying your own grocery bags, lifting a grandchild, moving a potted plant. All of it gives you that sense of independence that you can still do things without depending on anyone. But there's a detail almost no one talks about, and it can turn a simple act of strength into a serious risk for your brain. We're not just talking about lifting weights at the gym. Even picking up a heavy grocery bag, a bucket of water, or a box of supplies can cause a sudden spike in blood pressure, putting enormous stress on your blood vessels. The bigger problem, when we exert ourselves and, without even realizing it, hold our breath, which is very common, something called the Valsalva maneuver occurs. This internal pressure shoots up quickly, affecting your chest, heart, and even circulation in your brain. In blood vessels that are already stiffer or narrowed from aging, high blood pressure, or cholesterol buildup, this sudden surge can rupture the wall of a blood vessel, dislodge a fatty plaque buildup, form a clot that can travel to your brain. All of this can happen in seconds, often without pain or warning. A true story. George, 82, retired, had always been strong and proud of his independence. One day, while helping his wife unload the car, he lifted a heavier box of groceries. In that instant, he felt pressure in his head and collapsed. At the hospital, the diagnosis was an ischemic stroke caused by a dislodged plaque in his carotid artery, most likely triggered by the strain and sudden pressure surge. He survived, but now uses a walker and attends physical therapy to regain some of his strength and speech. How to protect yourself. Choose lighter loads, dividing the weight into more trips. Never hold your breath when lifting. Exhale slowly as you rise. Use carts, straps, or tools to reduce strain. Ask for help when the weight is excessive. It doesn't take away your independence, it preserves your health. At Longevity, we always say your strength is not just in your muscles, but how you care for your body so it can keep serving you for years to come. And if lifting can create such dangerous pressure, wait until you hear about the next movement. It's simple, common, and included in almost every senior exercise program. But if done too quickly, it can steal oxygen from your brain in seconds. The hidden danger of getting up too quickly from bed or a chair. Have you ever felt slightly dizzy lightheaded, or unsteady when getting out of bed in the morning or standing up quickly from a chair? If so, it might be more serious than you think, especially after the age of 60. This sensation has a name: orthostatic hypotension. It happens when your body can't adjust your blood pressure quickly enough when you change positions, like going from lying down to standing up. The result? A brief drop in blood and oxygen flow to your brain. And that short moment can be enough to cause strong dizziness, increasing your risk of falls, sudden fainting, which can lead to serious injuries, and in more severe cases, a transient ischemic attack or even a full stroke. And the most concerning part, many people think these signs are just normal aging and never seek help or change the habit.
What can you do about it? When waking up, don't stand up all at once. Sit on the edge of the bed, take a deep breath, and wait a few seconds before standing. Stay well hydrated throughout the day. Dehydration is one of the leading causes of low blood pressure in seniors. Avoid standing for long periods while fasting. And always talk to your doctor if this dizziness happens frequently. A golden tip: keep a small water bottle next to your bed and drink a little before getting up. This helps your circulation adjust more gently in the morning. Here on the Longevity Channel, our motto is, every movement should be made with awareness, because it's in being gentle with your body that you find more strength and more life. And in the next part, we'll talk about something even more concerning, a common food that seems harmless, but can significantly increase the risk of stroke if consumed the wrong way. Innocent foods that can increase stroke risk at night. You've probably heard it before. It's fruit is always healthy. Well, that's not always true, especially when it comes to brain health after 60. Fruits are wonderful sources of vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants. But when eaten at night in excess, especially in the form of juice, they can silently become a real risk. Why? Because of blood sugar spikes. Even natural fruit juices have a high glycemic index. They enter your bloodstream quickly, causing a rapid increase in blood sugar and forcing your body to produce insulin fast. During the day, your metabolism can usually manage it, but at night, when your body slows down and prepares for rest, this sugar spike can make your blood thicker, increasing the risk of clots. Raise your blood pressure during sleep, which is a direct stroke risk. Disrupt your sleep, affecting brain function the next day. And the worst part? Most people have no idea that a harmless glass of juice before bed could silently harm their brain. How can you avoid this risk? Avoid fruit juices at night, especially orange, grape, apple, or pineapple. If you want a snack, go for low glycemic fruits with fiber, like kiwi or an apple with the peel. And whenever possible, eat the whole fruit instead of drinking the juice. It keeps the fiber and prevents glucose spikes. Here on the Longevity Channel, we believe that living longer also means knowing what and when to avoid. Small choices at the end of your day can give you many more years of clarity and health. And speaking of health decisions, in the next part, we'll talk about a very common surgery that, after age 65, may do more harm than good. Arthroscopy after 65, what no one tells you. You feel some discomfort in your knee or hip, nothing that stops you from walking, but it bothers you. Then the doctor suggests what sounds like a simple fix. Let's do an arthroscopy. It's minimally invasive, quick, and you'll go home the same day. It sounds harmless, a small cut, a micro camera, and a little cleanup in the joint to remove fragments, smooth cartilage, or fix a small tear. But here's what most people don't hear. After age 65, this type of surgery can often cause more harm than good. What actually happens? Even though it's called minimally invasive, arthroscopy is still surgery, and surgery always comes with a recovery period, limited movement, less weight on the operated leg, avoiding stairs or walking for days or even weeks. If you're 30, that downtime might not be a big deal, but if you're 70 or 80, those few weeks of inactivity can lead to a loss of strength that never fully returns. Donna Helena's story. Donna Helena, 81, was a retired librarian. She walked to the market every day, felt a little discomfort in her knee, and her doctor recommended an arthroscopy. The surgery was done in the morning, and she went home the same day. But during recovery, she stopped walking, needed a walker, and when she came to see me, she couldn't get up from a chair without help. She had lost almost 40% of her thigh strength. What was once just a little annoyance turned into a serious problem: dependence and fear of walking alone. What the science says. Multiple studies show that for age-related joint wear, arthroscopy often does not bring lasting benefits in terms of pain or mobility, but it does increase the risk of infection, blood clots, anesthesia complications, and especially muscle loss due to inactivity. What you should ask before saying yes to surgery. Are there clear studies showing that this procedure will actually help in my case? Have I already tried conservative treatments like physical therapy, strength exercises, walking? What is the risk of losing leg strength during recovery? Here at the Longevity Channel, we don't want to scare you. We want to empower you. The truth is, not every procedure is worth it at a certain age. And in the next section, we'll talk about something even more surprising. A test that lasts less than a minute, but if misinterpreted, can make you believe you're weak even when you're not. And that belief alone, it can silently rob you of your strength. Innocent foods that can increase stroke risk at night. You've probably heard it before. Fruit is always healthy. Well, that's not always true, especially when it comes to brain health after 60. Fruits are wonderful sources of vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants. But when eaten at night, in excess, especially in the form of juice, they can silently become a real risk. Why? Because of blood sugar spikes. Even natural fruit juices have a high glycemic index. They enter the bloodstream quickly, causing a rapid increase in blood sugar and forcing your body to produce insulin fast. During the day, your metabolism can usually manage it, but at night, when your body slows down and prepares for rest, this sugar spike can make your blood thicker, increasing the risk of clots. Raise your blood pressure during sleep, which is a direct stroke risk. Disrupt your sleep, affecting brain function the next day. And the worst part? Most people have no idea that a harmless glass of juice before bed could silently harm their brain. How can you avoid this risk? Avoid fruit juices at night, especially orange, grape, apple, or pineapple. If you want a snack, go for low glycemic fruits with fiber like kiwi or an apple with the peel. And whenever possible, eat the whole fruit instead of drinking the juice. It keeps the fiber and prevents glucose spikes. Here on the Longevity Channel, we believe that living longer also means knowing what and when to avoid. Small choices at the end of your day can give you many more years of clarity and health. And speaking of health decisions, in the next part, we'll talk about a very common surgery that after age 65 may do more harm than good.
Reaching this stage of life, after so many stories, victories, and challenges, has taught me something far beyond medicine or test results. True strength is not only in our muscles, but in how we choose to live each day. After 60, 70, or 80, it's not about racing against time. It's about making the most of the time we have with health, independence, and peace of mind. And that starts with making conscious decisions, asking the right questions, and taking care every day of what keeps us standing: our legs, our mind, and our courage. If this video brought you clarity, remember, prevention lies in the small choices you make daily. And if you want to dive even deeper into this subject, I've prepared a special ebook with exercises, habits, and strategies to keep your legs strong and your independence intact after 60. You'll find it right below this video, available for a symbolic value. By getting it, you'll not only receive a practical guide to start applying today, but you'll also be supporting the Longevity Channel to keep creating serious and transformative content for your health and quality of life. Because aging is inevitable, but losing your strength and joy for life doesn't have to be.